In the February edition of What's New, Massachusetts, head over to Cambridge's Harvard Square and satiate your Valentine's Day sweet tooth with the chocolate creations from Somerville on the Charles, a seasonal market featuring heavenly bonbons from Somerville Chocolate's Eric Parks and Comme des Fille's Alexandra Whisnant. Chat with Marc Levy, the mastermind behind the online publication Cambridge Day, and learn about the latest developments happening in the city known as the most innovative square mile on the planet. What's new, Massachusetts? Here are your co-hosts Sam Baltrusis and Sharon Fillyaw.
Welcome to the February edition of What's New, Massachusetts. My name is Sam Baltrusis. Joining is my lovely co-host Sharon Fillyaw. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. We have a lot to talk about today.
We do. So, do you have any plans for Valentine's Day?
No, alas, no. But hopefully there's still time. There's still time. I have some chocolate in the freezer. Maybe I'll break that out. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we have some chocolate. We actually went on a little adventure to Harvard Square.
Yes, that was so much fun. It's this beautiful little pop-up store or boutique that is right next to Starbucks, is right in Harvard Square, and this wonderful eclectic collection of chocolates, just all types. And the two proprietors are just wonderful people. We had a great time talking to them.
They were fantastic, and I definitely indulged a little bit with the chocolate. How about you?
I did, and you were supposed to save some for today, right? And Sam said he ate some at home?
I had them stored in my freezer, and I was literally walking, I was sleepwalking, and I walked into my freezer, and I was popping bonbons into my mouth.
They were that good. They were really good. They were excellent. They were really good.
So tell me about, so we're talking about Cambridge. Like, what is your experience with Cambridge?
Well, Cambridge is really interesting because you have so many little communities inside of a large one. You have Harvard Square, you have Central Square. There are so many different types of people. You have the Harvard students, you have Yo-Yo Ma lives in Cambridge, Alan Dershowitz. So there's some celebritydom in there as well, and just an eclectic collection of just all types of people. It's really interesting.
We're focusing on Cambridge because CCTV, my friends at CCTV picked us up. So we are playing on CCTV regularly, and we're growing. It's a growing media empire here.
It is, and I was telling Sam, I've started to get noticed. People are like, didn't I see you on that show? And I'm like, yes, you did. I'm my co-host with Sam Baltrusis. So we're getting visibility.
So if you want to be a sponsor, we're looking for sponsors.
We sure are.
Maybe so we get a chocolate sponsor.
Chocolate sponsor, ice cream sponsor, cake, pie, anything like that.
So we're actually going to roll a clip from our experience at the Somerville on the Charles.
Sounds good. Hi, this is Sharon Fillyaw. We're here in Harvard Square at this wonderful chocolate boutique that's only here through February. Two forces of nature that have come together to put together a tremendous chocolate menu. Two people, Miss Alexandra Whisnant with Comme, and Mr. Eric Parks, who is head of Somerville Chocolate. We're going to meet them right now. This is Sharon Fillyaw for What's New, Massachusetts. Here we are at the Harvard Square location of Somerville on the Charles. Joining me today is Mr. Eric Parks and Miss Alexandra Whisnant. Now, Mr. Eric, tell us about what you're doing for Valentine's Day. You have some special features for that, for your store.
Well, it's in flux right now, but we'll be doing bars, collections of bars, and I hope to have little hearts available in bags. Featuring different origins, probably 2 or 3 different origins.
How do you determine what type of chocolates that you're going to include in various, like say for Valentine's Day?
It's kind of an imprecise thing, but I think Valentine's Day we'd go for something smoother, maybe more milk chocolates, a little bit more sugar content, as opposed to the smoked chocolates or some of the more heavy-hitting chocolates that are out there.
Right, now that sounds wonderful. Now your Harvard Square location is closing in February, so we want everyone to know where to go after this location shuts down for the season. So where can we tell our viewers to go?
We'll be open here until the end of February, so this is the place to come for Valentine's Day. And then after February, we'll be moving everything back to Tyler Street in Somerville, inside of Aeronaut Brewery, which is where we are. This is where we produce all of our chocolate now. It's our factory and little storefront too.
That sounds wonderful. This has been an amazing combination of talents, and I'm sure that all of your customers from Harvard Square are so glad that you've decided to choose here to settle. So we just met the two wonderful forces that have come together to put together this wonderful chocolate boutique. What am I going to be doing for Valentine's Day? I'm going to be right here.
Welcome back to What's New Massachusetts. Joining me is Marc Levy, the editor and founder of Cambridge Day. So Marc, there's a lot of cool things happening in Cambridge. There's the TT, there's a lot of closings too. There was the TT and the Bears, they closed, but are they reopening it?
TT the Bears place is not reopening, but the space is still going to be a nightclub.
Oh, cool.
No one's seen the inside. I went to the Middle East and I begged Nabil Sater, please let me see the space. And it's like, no one's seeing it yet. You get a hint of what it's like. There are these nice double doors. Not the French doors from TT's, these sort of like new, like clear glass doors. And there's like 2 ticket windows, so you can tell they're modernizing. It's going to be called Sonia's. It's a 350-person club. TT's was 300 people. No alcohol, at least at the beginning, so probably a lot of all ages shows. That's great. And that's coming along the next few weeks.
Sounds like kind of a gentrification going on there. Like not the grungy, like rock and roll type place it used to be.
That may be true.
Do you miss those days, like sort of like the Rat days? I know the Rat was in Kenmore Square, but like the old school, like rock and roll, dirty days that...
Who isn't nostalgic for those grubby, dirty, heroin-riddled days? We are missing out on TT the Bears place, All Asia, and then of course before that, I'm totally blanking. Oh, so sad. The legendary, the goth night, the...
Man Ray.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Man Ray. That was embarrassing.
That's okay, because I used to go there, and like I don't want people to know that I actually went there.
The Canterbridge and MI. Yeah, Man Ray.
So, but there's other things too. I mean, Cambridge has world-class restaurants, and they're always like top of the list of the restaurants. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like the restaurants, of course, like kind of bring in the white yuppie, the rich person. But is it good for Cambridge?
I like to think that it is good for Cambridge. It's at least great to go and eat there. I do personally wish that there were more of the lower scale, like just stop in and grab some food. I was probably the biggest fan of Central Square getting a 24-hour Clover. That is exciting to me. So, that's sort of, and Naco Taco, like very nice, but like I want even cheaper tacos. Like give us, where are those taco trucks that Donald Trump warned us about? Like I want those. But on the other hand, there's just amazing food out there. Little Donkey in Central Square, incredible. Shepherd, I have a friend who called it the best steak she ever had. Shepherd between Harvard and Porter. I mean, we're lucky to have them. Although Shepherd has an issue with its wood-fired grill. The neighbors are complaining that that's too much wood-fired grill action going on.
We'll leave it to Cambridge to complain about those sorts of things. So, what makes Cambridge special?
I'm going to say that it is a legacy that people keep pursuing. I think it's amazing. This is the Wile E. Coyote of cities to an extent. You run out of road and you keep running. And you can keep running so long as you don't look down and realize that there's nothing there yet. So there's a whole group of people that are beginning to look down and realize there's nothing there. They have to move out. Deborah Mason School of Dance, it loses its place. It realizes it has to cross the border and move into Somerville. Out of the Blue Art Gallery is sort of struggling like month to month, even though it's in the so-called Central Square Cultural District. There are institutions that are struggling, but until you realize that that's going on, it is a fantastic place to be. So it's still a great place for music, a great place for food. People love living here, the walkability, like it still has all those geographic aspects. It's just that it's so great to be here that people are going to pay more and more to be where it's a great place to be. That's sort of why we have people arguing that we need to get better deals from developers and businesses who can pay, because they're going to want to be here no matter what.
Right. Well, my thoughts are that maybe Cambridge can learn a few pointers from Somerville, all the cool things happening in Somerville.
I would agree with you there. Somerville went through a revamp of its building code that was extremely beneficial. I believe Somerville has a higher rate of demanding affordable housing in its big construction.
We do, yeah.
These are things that Cambridge should definitely be following.
So we're going to run a clip on Marc Levy from my friend Christina Kerrer.
I'm Marc Levy, editor of Cambridge Day.
Okay, so how many years have you been a journalist?
Many, I think. It depends how far back you want to keep looking. I mean, I've always done journalism professionally, and I did start sort of before then. I did journalism in college. I even did some journalism in high school.
And so you've never had another type of job?
I have done occasional like graphic design stuff, things like that, but those were like summer jobs, and they were, you know, during like high school or college. It's pretty much always been journalism. I've been really lucky that way, although the ideal would always be to do sort of general interest journalism, and I have found myself at times going into more niche journalism because that pays a little better, and that has helped me do Cambridge Day.
So you really are in your own skin as a journalist. I'm
not even sure what that means. What does that mean?
Some people search far and wide to figure out who they are and what they are, and they never come up with something.
Oh.
And they never do anything with their lives.
But that's a little sad in a way, because when I was a kid, I used to be a lot more creative. And I was drawing, and I was writing, and I was writing plays, and I think I was drawing up until, I don't know, let's say the mid to late 90s, and bit by bit, I feel like every little bit of creativity has been drained away, and now it's all journalism. Even that's a difficult question. It had a print edition in 2005, so the archives go back to 2005, but there's also sort of a gap between 2005 and 2009 when I came back and sort of started the website up in earnest. But you'll find archives that go back even before 2005, because when I was blogging outside of Cambridge Day, I was still focused a little bit on Cambridge and sort of gathering information and writing things that, you know, I cared about in the community, knowing that I could use these resources eventually.
You had a streetwear thing?
Yeah, we rolled out this feature. The first edition, I was very happy about it, very proud of it. It was a good-looking package. But we got some blowback because, you know, in going down what this guy was wearing, turns out that much of what he was wearing was shoplifted.
How'd you find that out?
We asked him.
He told you?
Yeah. Hat, Goodwill, tie.
Investigative.
He's got a face that people would just open up to. That's a good trait in a reporter, Mark. People just want to tell you the truth.
What a variety. Hat was from Goodwill, tie was shoplifted, button was made by a friend, shirt was bought for him by his dad, black rubber bracelet found on the ground, sneakers stolen from Marshalls in Manhattan. So two of the items in his outfit were stolen. Anyway, the first edition.
I love it. Where were you blogging? Was there
I had a terrible self-indulgent website in the early days of blogging. Many mistakes were made. Some some of the reasons I was doing it were because I did want to start poking around Cambridge and developing these resources. Part of it was just sort of seeing how it was to write online. And part of it was as a corrective, because I felt like as a writer, I would come back and read stories that I didn't even understand what I was trying to say. You know, I would come back to them weeks or months later with fresh eyes, and I was like, this is terrible. So this was a way to write consistently where I could come back and look at it and sort of iron out some deficiencies as a writer. Well, in large part, I wanted to start Cambridge Day because I needed to be familiar with online news. It doesn't seem like it's going away. A couple of my journalistic heroes are I.F. Stone, who sort of relied heavily on documents and proved the value of sort of sifting through data and records. And Josh Marshall, a guy who started a website called Talking Points Memo and has built a pretty astounding little news resource there. Many different verticals, employs lots of people, and I think he does a lot of good in the political sphere. And he has focused on a site that's not objective, but that uses understood, reliable facts to build a case. You know where the website's coming from, you know their point of view, but it is all based on a solid groundwork of facts. And the reason why that's so valuable is that I think it was sort of a reaction to the journalism that we saw in the run-up to the Iraq War, where you had journalists like Judith Miller at the New York Times, who was beating the drums very loudly to go to war, and no one perceived it because it was coming from such a so-called objective source. There's a secondary problem along with the idea that you have a completely tainted subjectivity cloaked in the objectivity of a newspaper like the New York Times is something that I think we've seen a lot of in the climate change debate, and that I think Jon Stewart on The Daily Show has called out countless times, where you have this sort of a false balance, a false equivalency. And so you've got the expert who will speak to the realities of climate change, and then you feel obligated to bring in someone from, quote, the other side, unquote, who is a crackpot or paid off by the oil industry or something like that. And these are not actually equivalencies. And I think it makes more sense, and I think we've arrived at a point where the news industry has found a way to sort of call out these obvious truths, that there is an accepted reality and that there are some outliers who might feel a different way, but not without much justification.
So we're back with Mr. Marc Levy, the editor and founder of Cambridge Day. That was a really interesting interview with Sam. You had some really great things to say. Things that our viewers need to hear about Cambridge, and you seem to be very passionate about that. But we'd like to take a little different, so you're like a little bit, let's take a little different twist. What new events and happenings are going on in Cambridge to kind of support inclusion and kind of steering away from this kind of demarcation of people?
Well, we have seen some action on more affordable housing. There's a couple things that have happened over the past couple of years, and one of them is still sort of on the table being debated, but for a long time we had a fairly small portion of new residential construction that would be set aside as affordable housing, and that percentage is about to jump to the extent that even the Chamber of Commerce and some developers are like, well, we can't, if you do that, we can't afford to build here.
Right.
We have seen a giant project in Central Square called Mass in Main, where they promised a great amount of affordable housing. People were very happy, and because the cost that they paid, the price they paid for the property, is now sort of the finances aren't quite working out.
Right.
So they're selling us some of their other properties, and people are saying that was not part of the deal. That was not what we talked about. But at the same time, that's still progress. And we also see more so-called linkage paid. So when you put up an office building, and for every square foot, you know, theoretically, if you're going to be drawing people into the city of Cambridge and they're going to want to live here, that probably means they're displacing people who already live here. So they pay into this fund to sort of supplement affordable housing. And that had not been raised for decades. And it finally got raised again last year. So we have like these two sort of things that have been stagnant for literally decades that are actually seeing movement now.
You seem to be very passionate about making Cambridge a place for everyone to live and enjoy. What do you feel is your role as editor of Cambridge Day to make this happen?
Whiner? I don't know.
But we need that. We need some dissenters.
Yeah, I'm a great Cambridge cliche. I'm a liberal middle class white male. So, and suffer lots of white guilt, and so I try to
Goodness.
try to make sure that I maintain that as best I can. And so, yeah, affordable housing is huge.
It is a huge problem, and we need people like you who to address the issues and to really feel passionately about them. It's very important. It's very easy to get kind of myopic and caught up in your own world. Marc Levy, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have had you.
Thank you.
To let our viewers know about what's happening in Cambridge and perhaps how they can get involved and help as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. And our next clip up is about Jeremy Collins, the winner of Survivor Cambodia. We're going to cut to a clip right now.
I'm a Cambridge firefighter. I was on Survivor a couple times.
Not only on, but
But I won. I won season 31.
season 31. You were on twice.
I was on twice. I was on season 29. That's Blood vs. Water. And season 31 is Second Chance.
Sorry, you are from Cambridge.
I'm from Cambridge. I grew up off of River Street, Mildred Hamilton Place. I lived on Putnam Ave for a while, Howard Street.
Your wife, who was also on the first Survivor with you, which was Blood versus
Water.
Okay, is she from Cambridge?
No, my wife's from Bellingham.
So the only thing I really remember, as I was telling you about your season with your wife, is she was a firecracker.
Yeah, she is.
And it was no surprise she got voted off early. Did they just edit it to make you look like you were the best husband in the whole damn world, or?
I am the best husband in the world. What are you talking about? No, you know what? I don't know. I think
It seemed like you were you overly emotional as a husband there, or was it the editing? 'Cause
I'm not an emotional guy like that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't cry or anything. But like when they take everything away from you, and like they strip you down, they take your family, everything you love, and you don't eat, and you can't talk to anybody because you don't trust anybody. It really messes with your mind.
Do you feel like it was helpful or not helpful to have a loved one out there with you?
For Blood vs. Water, it's not helpful to have a loved one. You want to be out there and you just want to be stripped of everything and just play the game. You don't want to have any emotional ties to anybody. And when you have a loved one, you're always thinking about the loved one.
Right. Being a firefighter, you have to deal with some really emotional situations, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
The methods you use to kind of handle emotional situations you encounter, did that come in handy being on Survivor?
With the fire department, everything that you see, you have to shut it out. You can't take anything to heart. You can't dwell on anything. You just have to just keep moving and do your job. I don't know if it helped me out there, but if it did, I didn't do a good job because I was very emotional. You know, like I was a mess. You know, I was a mess. And more than that, like you're in your head more than anything. You know what I mean? And you're overthinking things over and over again.
And when you're on the job, you probably don't do that.
No.
You probably are in autopilot, and it's kind of...
You just do your job.
Explain the process of getting on the show. Just
All right, so I always loved the show.
That show, and only you didn't want to be on a reality
No,
television show.
I looked at Survivor, and I'm a fan of Survivor.
Yes.
They asked us to do Amazing Race. Like, I'm not doing Amazing Race. I don't want anything else.
Welcome back to What's New Massachusetts. Sharon, that was a really good show.
It was. Marc Levy gave us some really good perspective on Cambridge. He really did. He was great.
It was a pretty deep conversation, but I definitely, I mean, his point is his job is to be a watchdog of what's going on.
That's right. And to speak for those who can't speak for themselves, which I think is the highest level of journalism.
I do too, and I respect Marc, and you know we go way back. Well, not way back, but back enough where I respect his work. We're kind of old school journalists,
Right.
And so he and I have similar ideas as to our role in society. And our role is to keep an eye on what's going on.
And it is, and it's also to open up the conversation, to get people thinking, to say provocative things, to get people talking, pro and con.
And talking to Marc off camera, the reason why he does Cambridge Day is to engage with the community, and it forces him to get out and talk to people. You know, if he may be like a naturally kind of an isolator or shy guy,
right.
This will kind of get him out there, and it allows him to engage with people that he cares about in the community.
Right, and once again, to encourage dialogue, to say things that perhaps are a little uncomfortable, to get people thinking about it. It's important for change.
So I do have some chocolate.
Oh no.
From our visit to Somerville on the Charles in Cambridge. I saved you a box of chocolate.
Wait, how many are in here? You said you ate some, so how many are in here, Sam?
I don't know, but
oh my goodness.
Forrest Gump was right. Life is like a box of chocolates.
It is. Look at this. And I actually like the white chocolate. So would you like to have one with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't take the white chocolate one. Okay, so we're gonna have this one. Oh, this looks so, oh my goodness. I've been waiting for this. Oh, this is so good.
So happy Valentine's Day from What's New Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And we will see you next month.
Bye.